to your identification.
What did you say? I'll tighten those restraints. Scavenger scum.
We don't need to see his identification.
I will remove these restraints and leave the cell with the door open.
My lord.
Don't tell us. Don't tell us. Don't tell us. Don't tell us. Don't tell us.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sidebar Cantina, the podcast where we talk about Star Wars, pop culture, spring cleaning, or whatever the fuck we feel like talking about.
Yeah.
I am Mr. Jason Roscom. With me here each and every single week, the Darth Vader to my Palpatine, or no, I can't think of any good analogies. The Bail Organa to my Mon Mothma. I don't know. I got nothing.
Yeah, that would imply like. I mean,
That'd imply a lot of things.
yeah.
Which I don't think we want to go there right away. I've got a big rant coming when we get into the book itself, that a cancel-worthy rant. So, you know,
That's fair.
We'll save it for then.
All right, fair enough.
So, well, first of all, before I ask you what we're talking about, how the hell are you?
I'm present,
Yeah.
beat up as per usual. Yeah, I don't even know.
It's another day older.
So yeah, put away written hard, put away wet. That I don't know what it was. Like this warmer temperatures, which I love, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be outside in it though, not inside in an office that keeps the heat cranked, because the United States Air Force does not understand how heat and the weather works.
Right.
Even at this day and age.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's going to have the heat turned on until such time as it's consecutive 70-degree whatevers.
Yep.
Then they'll shut the heat off, and then you'll have no heat for this period of time, and then you have consecutive days where you can turn on the air conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hear it from you Army people. I know.
Yeah. This probably doesn't sound that great, but
I was in the Air Force, and I'm a fucking civilian now, and eat shit. So sitting in an office that is 78 degrees and trying to work, I was literally like falling asleep at my desk today. I was just like, what the fuck is happening? So yeah, I'm trying to get the gears going and woo.
37. My girlfriend sucked 37 dicks.
In a row?
So yeah.
All right, sounds good. So, all right, well, what are we talking about today?
We're going to talk about a little book called Reign of the Empire, Mask of Fear.
Yeah, it's got two names.
Book 1.
Yes.
Book 1 to 3.
Yep.
So we're getting a little teaser into I guess think of it as a prequel to Andor.
Yeah.
Which is itself an introduction to Rogue One.
Which, in and of itself, is a prequel to New Hope.
But we like Andor, and we're looking forward to the Andor season coming out.
Oh, absolutely.
So this is kind of like a little dipping our toes into a little bit of the backstory.
Yeah, just like when the movies come out, you know, they always release a novel alongside to kind of help get you hyped up for it.
Right.
Aftermath with Force Awakens being an obvious one.
Right.
So it's the same situation.
So they can completely ignore it and not use any of that particular canon, but
right. But I think they've already done a better job with this than they did with the Aftermath.
No,
stuff.
I would agree with that.
But yeah, so we're going to get into that, talk about it a little bit later. But
God,
before we do, I had a couple other things to go over.
Like?
Well, before we get into our sidebar headlines and Patreon and all that,
all right.
Did you see the screenshots from that new tactical game that got leaked?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen here. I posted them in the Facebook group, but I'm very excited about this. It's a new strategy game that I think they're officially announcing at Celebration next month.
It's a celebration.
That's right. Yeah, why can't I find Like share video file. No, share this, share that. No, I just want to share my screen.
Video films.
The video sandwich.
Share the video films.
Video stockyard. No, you retards. The video store. For anybody who gets that reference. All right. I don't know how well you guys can see it out there. I wish I could make it bigger. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, these screenshots were leaked this last week for a new tactical game that looks like it's based off of the XCOM game series, which I don't know if you've played any of those.
That's what I remember.
But yeah, they're a tactical turn-based game. Here, let me show you this other screenshot too. You get right now we're looking at Mandalorians taking on what looks like stormtroopers.
It looks like a in the skiff or not skiff, the desert trooper uniform
Oh,
that they had in
yeah.
Scarif.
That's right. Okay. So yeah, we've got some we've got 2 Mandalorians here and a droid on one team, and then we got some stormtroopers on the other, which is pretty good. And like I said, these are based off of, or they're inspired by the XCOM games that a lot of the employees from this Respawn and Bit Reactor, they came from the team that made the XCOM games. That's why a lot of people are getting really excited about this, because those are very popular games.
Okay.
And me personally, I love tactical turn-based games. They're fucking awesome. And when I saw this, I got pretty damn excited, and hopefully we get a much bigger announcement for this at Celebration and some more gameplay footage.
It's
and-
Celebration.
That's right.
Hey, any furthering of gameplay development, I think, is going to be good, because for me, as somebody who likes that first-person shooter environment
Mm-hmm.
more, I think having more game options is going to encourage making a better first-person shooter.
Yeah.
Like Battlefront 2 making a Battlefront 3 that's worth a shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or advancing on whatever the next part of the story is for Cal Kestis.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I would imagine we're going to get another
I hope
Jedi
so.
game
I hope so.
to complete the trilogy.
Yeah, because I mean that's my brain is so fucking fried. Like I'm like, did I finish that game?
Yeah, we finished both of them
Yeah.
because we did them for the podcast.
Okay.
Like-
Dude,
Like the
yeah,
second
yeah,
one,
I did.
yeah, the second one, weren't you even trying on like a higher difficulty, or you were
I
trying to
was.
100% or something?
Yeah, I was trying 100%, and I think I did not do it.
Mm.
So I don't know how fucking Healy fucking did it. Honestly,
Yeah, he.
yeah, that's no, I did not get to 100%, but yeah, okay. But it's just like with Battlefront 2, like how I said, I kind of went back and I'm playing the campaign
Mhm.
again, which I haven't gone back to. I should.
Yeah.
Um,
And see, that's the kind of shit that I like. I want to play more single player shooter campaign in the Star
Yeah.
Wars universe.
well, I think that's the trick, right? If you're going to have a Battlefront 2
Mhm.
or Battlefront 3 rather, then have a really good campaign
Yeah.
with it, and then you have have everything you need to make a fucking solid FPS.
Yeah.
And
Obviously, you got to have multiplayer in there. That's
Yeah.
just a given. But I mean, I'd love for it to be like focused on a single player campaign or even co-op campaign. That could be good.
I think I mean, whatever. But like I said, I really think that having more, if they can get more games out there and really make more successful games, then it opens up the opportunities for other games that come out,
Sure.
and get things off the shelf.
Yeah, and I think it was a good thing that they took the exclusivity away from EA, because for the longest time, EA had the rights to make any Star Wars. Oh, Fallen Order 3 confirmed to be in development. Thank you, Dragon Buddy.
Yeah, exclusive from Dragon Buddy. Dragon Buddy on Star Wars news. Maybe Fallen Order 3 was confirmed to be in development, according to Dragon Buddy.
Oh man, that's awesome. Now, the question now is, what system do you think they're making it for? Do you think they're making it for the current gen, or possibly doing the next gen, or one of those in between games that like they'll release it for the current gen, but when the next gen system comes out, they'll.
What's the next gen system going to be though? I mean, it's like the Xbox X right now. I don't think that they've really maxed out the capability of what the Xbox X can do.
Oh, I 100% agree. But
Nice.
but I think they're still developing new one, because I'm sure Sony's developing one. We got the Switch 2 coming out this year. So I'm sure Microsoft and Sony are already eyeballing like 2026, 2027 type time frame for their new consoles, because that's just the way things go.
I saw something. I saw an article for something that said there was some game development for, like, it was a PlayStation 4 and 5. Like they were still had PlayStation 4 kind of mindsets in developing some things. I'm like, God, PlayStation 4 was like eons ago now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I can't see myself getting anything better than Xbox X. I'd probably go solely into a PC mode at that point.
True.
You know, save my if they. I don't want to say this, but I would much rather my PC stay for like simulators and let my gaming console be for like shooters and shit like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But if I have to, for capability's sake, I'd rather have an upgraded PC that'll handle that and I can use for other things than pay money for another console. Because, you know, Xbox X, that was an investment.
Oh, yeah.
You know, honestly. And it has a lot of other capability, but.
Yeah. Which, by the way, it's turning 5 years old this year.
That's what?
The Xbox X.
What?
5 years old.
What?
Yeah.
My God.
I know. What the fuck? The fuck happened to our lives?
So old.
Anyway,
I feel so old.
In addition to the tactics game leak, we also got news that the Hunters game is being shut down. In fact, let me see when it's being shut down. Star Wars Hunters shut down. Okay, on October 1st, it's going to be shut down permanently. So we still got a little while. So we still got 7 months. 6 months.
That fucking figures.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to that game a little bit late, I guess. It was something that Jeff turned me on to like over Thanksgiving. I'm like, oh, that, like, I've seen that around, and then I started playing it, and I enjoyed it, and now you're gonna take it from me. Yeah,
it looked really interesting. And even though it's still around for 6 months, I don't know. Is that enough to make it worth it to try to get into it and play it a little bit?
I mean, it's just a time killer.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Well, see, I'm looking more for a good game, not just something to pass the time.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed playing it. Like, I'm not, especially for a phone-based kind of game.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, it was good enough to keep me engaged with my ADHD. So,
all right.
I'm very selective with shit like that.
Speaking of phone, I really hope that this new tactical game is not a phone game. I hope that they are tuning it for consoles and PC and not fucking iPhones and all that. Because I'll be upset if that's the case. Because
I mean, shit, these new iPhones though, the chipset that's in this iPhone is the same as they're putting into their fucking MacBook Pro. So.
Oh, I totally get that it can handle something like that.
Yeah,
I just don't want it to be on mobile because I hate mobile games at this point.
Right.
Like, I despise them.
Yeah,
which sucks because when we first started, we had our Angry Birds and all kinds of other fun games, and then they've just gone and ruined it with all these microtransactions and all this other shit. It's just it's not fun to me anymore to get into mobile games. So fuck that, and I hope this tactical game isn't roped in there. Anywho, do we want to talk about our fabulous patrons?
Yes, finally. You need to talk about our patrons. Patreons.
Patreons?
Patreons.
Patrons.
Patreons.
Okay. We'd like to give a huge shout out to all of our current patrons: Frank Kalevich, Don Solsky, Helen Martin, Shotgun Mark, Nick from Sweet Studios, Scott and Kim from Used and Abused, Catherine Rennick, Tina Land, Wally Frogmore, my wonderful mother-in-law, Patricia Goodstein, Lord Helmet Fire,
Nice.
The Orange and Fetch Show, it's the diet soda. Oh, come on. The Orange and Fetch Show, Carly Vickers, David Schmuck, Chantal from Pop My Culture, Kristen Roscom, Sterling Azier, Dragon Buddy, Frederick Martin, and Nicholas Schaefer. If you'd like to consider becoming a supporter, you can find us at patreon.com/thesidebarcantina. Thank you again to all of our listeners and supporters. You are the reason why we do this. Over to Sidebar Headlines.
I've got nothing for Sidebar headlines.
All right.
That's it. I've got nothing.
Okay, well, I guess we can get into our weeks then.
Yes, let's do it.
And for me, like we already kind of chatted about it a little bit, but with the nice weekend we just had, it was all about the spring cleaning, baby. It was in the almost 80 on Saturday, and then even yesterday it got high 60s, I think. And
yeah, it got pretty warm yesterday.
Yeah, and I just went out and I worked in my garage, moving a bunch of shit around. Basically, our goal is to have like a home gym in there.
Nice.
But we've had so much shit and just so much clutter, and it's been a mess in our garage pretty much since we moved in. Oh, and by the way, like people were storing their shit in our garage too, like family members in the area.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, so we had a bunch of their crap all over the place, some of which you saw on the curb.
Nice.
When you got here today. So, yeah, ultimately it's to kind of clear out enough space to where we can put down some of that rubber matting and have a home gym in there.
Nice.
Like I've already got a treadmill. I've already got like a bench to lay on. It can go incline, decline.
Mm-hmm.
I just need like the actual bench press bar. I'm like trying to think of what do you call that? You know?
I don't know, but
I've already got the bench. I'm just talking the bar and the rack.
You're making me uncomfortable with that hand motion. I'm just saying.
And then we want to get one of those machines with the cables and do all the different workouts and just some other random stuff to where we can go in and just work out in the fucking gym at home, as opposed to, like I go to the gym before work every day right now. I'd much rather work out after work, but going to a gym after work, it's punishment because there's so many fucking people there. It's such a pain in the ass. So, that the reason why I go before work is because I don't have to deal with other people when I'm trying to get a workout in real quick.
Right.
So, and it's going to be even better if we have enough equipment in our home gym to be able to do all the workouts that I want to do. So that's the plan. But now I'm fucking exhausted because I worked my ass off.
Because just doing the things to get it cleaned out is a workout in and of itself.
Oh yeah, you're fucking hauling shit all over the place, and like we've seriously got like 100 totes in our fucking garage that I've stacked up and tried to organize as cleanly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot,
dude. Yeah, I know it.
So that's really been my week. Just doing that and listening to this audiobook. That's pretty much been all of my time.
It's funny how like when the week goes by, it's like, what exactly did I do?
Mm-hmm. Whereas now we're at this phase of adulting where it's just like, we went to work, we went home.
Right. Well, it's no, I can't talk about that. But there's something I have to do in my work that causes me to have to reflect on what I did the week prior. And I have to, it's the same thing as like, I'm trying to figure out what I did for my week for the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I sit there and think, I know I did stuff,
right?
But what did I do? And I write down a bunch of stuff,
right?
But in your normal, the course of your normal duty day, all the things that you're doing, it's like, yeah, I'm doing my job.
Yeah.
So then you have to figure out how to write it in such a way that's like relevant.
Yeah.
Yes, I did my job, But
Yeah, and for the case of this segment on the show, it's like, what can we talk about that the listening audience would be mildly interested in?
right.
Because I'm sure they don't want to think, oh, well, I organized some magic cards again. I put a few cards in binders and
Well, given our audience, it probably would be interested in that.
yeah.
But
that's what I did when I was listening to the audiobook, was I was organizing my magic cards.
nice.
So.
I listened to this. I mean, I listened to this primarily while I was driving because I still have the commute that you don't have. But yeah,
Oh, man, sorry.
I did the same thing that you did, like this weekend. Like, because right now it's like cramming everything into the weekend because by the end of the day, I'm just physically and mentally spent.
Mm-hmm.
So, Saturday had worked outside. I can't even tell you, like, I have a general idea that I did stuff outside, but I don't remember exactly. I know it culminated in me trying to skim a couple of inches of dirt out of the garden. I got about a third of the way through that before my back was like, you can go fuck yourself. We're not doing anything anymore. So insert muscle relaxers and sit my ass down. Then yesterday, under the same auspices, like we have the kids' room upstairs. We moved stuff around. I mean, shit, months and months ago to clear out the attic because we had a roof leak. I think I talked about it on the show a while back. And we've had that fixed, and we had the sheetrock fixed finally and everything else, but all that shit is still in that room. So I think Kathy quite deliberately incentivized me to clean that room up. She said, well, why don't you, put some of your Lego stuff up there? And I was like, this is probably a trick, but I'm going to do it anyway. So I started moving stuff around, but on Sunday, like I could not make my body do the doings. Like I picking up shit and carrying it up and down stairs, and we've turned our, like, in my shed, which is also my workshop. I've got one half of that turned into like storage. Oh wow. Like with the totes. Yeah. So that half is just wall to wall with it. And a lot of it's not a lot of it. Some of it, maybe like a third of it is like kids stuff. Like Kate and Jeff's memory boxes from, growing up. It's stuff that they wanted to keep but aren't really ready to bring with them yet. Shit like that. But having to take all that shit from the top floor of my house and come all the way down the stairs and take it all the way across the yard. Just like, fuck. It's a pain.
I believe it. And you've really got me demoralized with the whole kids leaving their stuff behind after they leave the house. I was kind of hoping that once they leave the house, they take most of their shit with them.
Yeah. No.
Not so much.
No.
Damn.
I mean, no, they don't. I mean, look, you might get lucky and they get themselves in a situation where it's like, oh, I've got all this space, I'll take all my shit. Yeah. But I mean, let's face it, they're probably not going to do that. So you're going to be the keeper of their stuff for a while. And there's going to be a point when it's like, hey, I still have your shit. Come get it. Yep. Yeah, or get rid of it, please. Right. Pretty please with sugar on it. Fucking, can we get rid of this fucking notebook that you're keeping? Right. Which I can't talk. The shit that I've kept, because I'm a recovering hoarder. Because it's in my gene pool. Right. And I've uncovered like drawings that like doodles that I did when I was like probably 10 years old. Wow. Just randomly in some like of airplanes. Like it had to be, when did Top Gun come out? It was like
the original?
Yeah.
85, I want to say.
Yeah. So it had to have been when that came out, because I drew two F-14s or I do 2 planes, and one was inverted, like this,
Yeah.
and which I don't think I could draw a much better airplane right now than I did when I was that age. So
86. I was a year off.
yeah, so yeah, I was 10, 11. Yeah, but for whatever reason, I had kept this drawing.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I threw out this weekend? All of my old study material for when I went through my cybersecurity classes. Remember when I went away for, most of the year in 2018?
I don't remember.
Fuck, when was
We'd have
that?
to go back and look in the archives.
I want to say, 2018.
We'd have to carbon date the fucking tank top.
Yeah. But yeah, it was that year that I was down in San Antonio and Mississippi for a good portion of the time. We were doing fully remote.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was all my study material from that. And it was a lot. It was stacks and stacks of, workbooks and instruction manuals and all that. And I'm just like, I'm never going to look at this stuff again. I don't know why I fucking kept it in the first place.
Yeah.
So I just threw it in a bag, tossed it out.
So I think in the fall, when I cleaned out the crawl space, I don't know, I'm pretty sure I talked about it on the show because that was a big deal.
Mm.
When I was getting rid of stuff, one of the things that I got rid of, or one of, I had all the material from when I went through Boeing maintenance course.
Oh, yeah.
So it was a stack of binders, this tall, of everything to do with the 757 maintenance course.
Right.
Like all the ATA chapters. So recycled all that paper, right? Threw away those binders. And I also got rid of all my guidance control ones.
Oh, you still had all that stuff.
I still had all of those binders.
Wow.
So all my the E&E stuff for the electronics course,
Mm.
and then all the guidance control shit, and my CDCs,
Yeah.
and then my crew chief CDCs that I took when I first got into the det. Yeah, I had all of that shit. So there's another pile of binders about 4 feet tall.
Damn.
And shit canned all that. I mean, the materials from my Dolan Hall, that shit was almost 30 years old.
I know, right?
It was probably should have sent it to a museum. It
Yeah.
belongs in a museum.
But hey, the basic electronics, that never changes, though.
It's facts.
That's something where that course could probably be the exact same as it was 30 years ago.
That fucking shit was so hard. Like, it was. I remember going through that, and not that. I mean, the material would have been easier if they would have slowed the fuck down.
Right.
Because you were getting like.
It was fire hose to the face, man.
Yeah.
That's what Air Force courses are like.
You were getting 400 level electronics courses in, I don't know, how long was that?
6 months.
Well, basic electronics wasn't 6 months. It was,
Oh, that was like the first month or so.
yeah, it was like 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, something like that.
Yeah.
Was basic electronics, but you went through the entire fucking thing, like like soup to nuts, like building circuits, and it just was.
Yeah, and we're calculating
brutality.
Yeah, we're calculating like amps and voltages for these massive, complicated
you're
schematics.
You're building circuits like from start to finish,
Yeah.
and calculating resistances and all this shit. And it was brutal. It was absolutely fucking brutal.
Yeah.
And looking back on that stuff, I was like, I don't know how I did this. My brain was so young and supple.
Right. Yeah, that was the thing. We were young then. Fuck, I was 19 when I went through that first electronics course.
I was 21.
Yeah.
But I was still in my prime, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so spring cleaning, trying my very, very best to destroy my back, and accomplishing it. And doing some Lego stuff. If you're a member of our Discord server, you'd see a couple of things that I posted for Lego stuff. The Tidarium shuttle. I got, I don't know, it was super super cheap off of eBay, and it was missing like I don't know, it was missing some pretty significant parts, and I still need to get a couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have filler parts in right now because like they're supposed to be white, but I had the gray version, so I put it in there.
Sure, yeah.
But it's that shuttle it's fucking it's like this big.
Damn.
I mean, it's pretty significant.
Is it an older one?
2015.
Okay.
So 10 years old.
Yeah.
It's newer. What are you talking? No, like, in my brain, I'm like, this is relatively new, but then you realize it's fucking 10 years old.
Mm-hmm. Which is how old Force Awakens is going to be in December.
And that was the branding. Excuse me. Like it. Well, no, the branding on the packaging, like when you look at the instructions, because I just downloaded the instructions. It had Rebels on there.
Oh, okay.
And then so I built that, and then I got again for it was like I think I paid $15, not including shipping, for an incomplete X-wing.
Okay.
And I put that together, and it was pretty much complete. I mean, the only thing it really was missing was a couple of pieces and minifigs.
Yeah.
Anything that's they're selling without the minifigs is pretty much you're getting value for.
Yeah.
Minifigs are what is the value in Lego.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying don't spend a lot on sets without minifigs.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can help it, because get an incomplete set and you can complete it. If your intent is to just I want to have this thing, right? I looked at it and said I want the shuttle.
Yeah.
So that I can build something around it. I have this hangar scene that I have built, and I wanted to have the shuttle for it, and now I do.
You're talking the hangar scene when Palpatine arrives?
This hangar scene I have built right now is more about it's just the rebellion, but
okay,
I can now build that if I wanted to.
Yeah,
I need more stormtroopers though.
Stormtrooper.
Blah, 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 blah. Thank you, Chris.
Oh yeah, I just noticed that. Is this their opening?
It's a home
game?
opener, yeah.
Oh what? And you're not there? Okay.
No, it's a day game. I couldn't take off. I had that meeting I had to run today. I actually had two big meetings today that I couldn't have afforded to miss. So
right.
Sad face.
Yep.
But yeah. Oh, so anyway, the 2018 X-wing that I picked up, really cheap. It's weathered, like you could tell it had sat out for a while.
Yeah.
But I was able to replace like some of the more yellowed pieces with white pieces out of my bench stock, and I'll keep replacing some of the exterior ones. But I said in a Discord server, and I truly believe this. I think it's the best X-wing that I've built.
Really?
Out of all, I've built now 5 different versions of it.
And you think that's the better one?
I think it's the best. The one that seems more like the X-wing you see in A New Hope.
Okay.
Like looking down the engine nacelles, like looking at it from behind.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what she said.
My penis is so smooth.
I like how the action to make the S-foils open and close is real. It's not a twist that's in some of the more. A couple of them have twist ones that you like kind of twist it to open it. This one's like a switch.
Okay.
So you like pull the switch back and it opens them, and there's a little push thing on the bottom. You push it and then it closes them.
Huh.
It's really clever how they initiate that action, and it uses rubber bands on the outside.
Oh yeah.
But like I said, I like how the engine nacelles, when you're looking in them, it uses Lego pickaxes to like kind of close in the nacelle.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at it, it actually looks like it's like part of the model. It's got like these greeblies that make it seem more like the model that an ILM guy would build.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've got many variations of the X-wing,
Mm-hmm.
to include I think the most, except for the UCS one. I can't put I've never built the UCS one, so I can't speak to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this 2018 one is really, really cool, and
Sweet.
to get it for fucking $15,
Damn.
you know, it's like okay, yeah, I have another X-wing that I actually like, really think is a good representation of what an X-wing is.
I'm gonna have to see that one now.
I should have brought it. When I got, yeah, I'll bring it. I'll bring it next
right.
week.
So speaking of Lego Star Wars, sidebar.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear that they took that Freemakers Adventures off of Disney Plus?
No.
Yeah, so it's a series that started back in 2016, I think. It was called the Freemakers Adventures.
Okay.
And they had like 2 or 3 seasons of it, something like that. And they recently removed it from Disney Plus, which, you know, to me, I hate seeing anything being taken off of a streaming service like that, especially when, you know, it's Disney. They own the fucking Star Wars.
Right.
So it's not like it's a property of Warner Brothers and now we're going to give it back to them after a certain period of time.
Yeah, like you had a limited, you know, release on the IP.
Yeah. Now, I think it might have originally come out on that Disney XD channel. But
Okay.
either way, like it's still all Disney shit. So the only reason I can think of why they would take it off of there is, I mean, I guess because it wasn't getting very good viewership numbers, but that doesn't bode well for a lot of things. Like, you know, because this is the thing that I've always been afraid of is what happens if they decide like, yeah, Acolyte didn't get much in the way of views and nobody likes it, so we're taking it off of, you know, Disney Plus. I'd be kind of pissed.
Yeah.
Even though I wasn't the biggest fan of Acolyte, I still enjoyed parts of it. I still want to go back and rewatch parts.
Right.
Of it.
Exactly. Same thing with like Kenobi or one of these other things. Like we don't have any other methodology to watch these shows.
Yeah.
Except for Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not like, hey, I can buy it off of Apple, go to Apple's movies or whatever, the Apple store.
Yeah. I know some of the shows they've been doing that, like Mandalorian. First couple of seasons, I think they put those out on
Did they?
Blu-ray, and I can't think of what else, but I don't think everything's on there. Is on like a physical format. So like things like Obi-Wan you were talking about, I don't think there's a physical version of that.
This is where the old man in me is just like, oh, we need the physical media. No, we need to go back to physical media. After so much of me was like, they'll never get rid of it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So many years of, it's stupid to keep copies of shit when there's no way that it's going to disappear.
Yeah.
And then until it does disappear. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Right. It starts with some fucking Lego shit, and then all of a sudden it turns into something we really wanted to watch.
Mm-hmm. You remember back in the day when Disney used to put their movies on the shelf, like they do a period of time where they would like pump up let's say Snow White, for instance, the original Snow White. They'd pump out a bunch of VHS tapes of it, put them out in the video stores, and then be like, this is it. We're once this goes out, we're closing the vault for a while, or we're putting it in the vault for a while, and you wouldn't see it again for years,
right?
Because
the next time you'd see it, it would be like an anniversary or something like that when you have an opportunity to buy it.
Yeah. So what's to stop them from doing that shit on Disney Plus? You know, like pull it for a while and be like, nobody's watching this. We're gonna pull it for now. Put it in the vault. Maybe we'll bring it back out in a couple years.
Yeah, but it doesn't make sense. Like, from a marketing standpoint, it's streaming. Like, I'm paying for the service one way or the other. Like, why do that? Like,
right.
Why manipulate your own library that way?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are people that much of a lemming that they're going to fall for that?
No, I think most people are smart enough to see through that shit.
If I could have made my eyebrows shoot through the top of my hat, I would have.
Okay.
Most people are not smart.
Yeah.
Sorry, most people. Like,
That's true.
it's just that, unfortunately, If the population of this country has proven nothing, is that there's a lot of lemmings.
Fair enough. All right then. So sorry about that sidebar there, but it has me concerned about content staying on Disney Plus in perpetuity.
Yeah,
because they've shown a willingness to purge at least some of the minor stuff like that. Like how long until they get into?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
like just leave it.
Yeah, and they allegedly they've removed stuff in the past due to alleged cost. And I'm like, how much extra does it really cost to just have these other files available to stream? Like, I would imagine you don't have to stand up a whole new server suite just for like one show or like one episode of a show.
Yeah, especially a show that's not going to be, there's not so much demand. You're not going to get all this IP traffic searching for it.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be resource intensive.
Yeah.
You just have it just sitting there. Like, all right, we're gonna demand this. Like, oh hey, I'm a young parent and I remember this show and I enjoyed it and I want to have my youngling watch it.
Yeah.
Oh, now it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
Sad face. Fuck you, Disney Plus. We're not gonna do that. We're going to Universal.
And they
is there a piece of paper in that candle or is that just the wax?
It's just the wax.
Okay. Just make it sure. I didn't need a fire. like, is that on fire?
No, it's perfectly safe, I'm sure.
Right.
Anyway, what were we talking about?
I don't know.
Fuck. I had another point I was going to make.
We were pulling shows off of Disney.
Oh, yeah. I think they did that with that Willow show they made. The Willow show that was like a sequel.
Oh.
I think they pulled that whole show off because, again, they said it was like budget reasons or, for finance reasons, which I don't know if it's because of like fucking tax breaks and stupid shit like that, like what Warner Brothers did in recent years or what. But
I don't know. You would think with anything with Willow that'd be there's a joke to be made about the hiring of little people.
Oh God.
But I'm not going to make it. I'll let that float out there.
Right. That's fine. Again, my cancellation speech is coming later, so
fair enough.
Well, I'll take the brunt of it this week.
It's gonna. I know what the crux of this is going to be.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, I've interrupted your week enough. Is that everything for you?
I was yes.
Okay.
I'm good. That was it.
All right, cool. Well, I guess that means we should get to our main topic, All right, so we are talking about the Star Wars novel, Reign of the Empire, the first book of the Reign of the Empire series, which is called The Mask of Fear. Just came out back in February, so it hasn't been that long, just a hair over a month.
Which is pretty good for us. Usually with the novels, we it takes us a little bit longer to get on it, but call us Johnny on the spots.
Yeah, and this one was fucking long too. The audiobook for it was. When you compare it to something like Lords of the Sith that we're talking about doing in an upcoming episode, that's like a 10-hour book, but this one was something like fucking 16 or 18 or it was long.
I'll tell you I've been listening to books that were like 20 to 22 hours. Like, and so the 16-hour one didn't seem like it was that bad.
Right.
Which is pathetic. And then I'm reading the Murderbot series and there's a couple of books that are only like 6 hours.
Wow.
I'm like, holy shit, that went fast. Like comparatively.
Yeah.
It's all contrast theory, right?
So
this one didn't seem like it was that bad. But yeah, it is you need to have time to if you're doing the audiobook, you have to have time to read this.
Right. The writer for this was Alexander Freed. He did he's done some Star Wars stuff. He did the Twilight Company novel to go along with the Battlefront 2015 game.
Okay, yeah.
He did Turning Point. No, never mind. That was an excerpt from something else. He did the Rogue One novelization, so he's familiar with the kind of Rogue One
Okay.
timeline area. He did that Alphabet Squadron, which I never read, but I know you did.
I started reading it.
I recall you not enjoying it.
Well, I got to a point in the books where I'm trying to remember exactly. I got to a point in the books where the story just started to like. It went off in a direction that I was like, this is dumb.
Right.
Like it didn't make sense the way it was going. Like I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
And then for some reason it kind of just rubbed me the wrong way.
Okay. And going into Legend stuff, he did a ton of Old Republic comic books. So he's done a lot of Legends. He's done some of the recent Star Wars stuff. So
he's versed in Star Wars.
Yes. In fact, he was a major contributor to the writing for the Old Republic, the video game, the online game. So yeah, he's got some Star Wars chops.
Yeah. And I saw a picture of him, and he looks like a younger guy too.
Yeah. So hold on, let's see. Can we get some information on this guy? No, not much. Oh well. But yeah, so we're in fairly good hands with the author for this one. Came out in February. Takes place. The timeline is between 18 and 19 BBY, which realistically, it's more like in the first few months after Revenge of the Sith.
Right.
So, because they mention at a couple of points in the book that, this just happened like a month ago.
Yeah.
When Palpatine made the Empire.
Well, yeah, because I think in the first chapter, you have a quote. It's Palpatine making his speech. The attack on my life has left me scarred.
Yeah.
Like that is quoted right in the beginning of the book.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of gives you the all right, if you didn't know where you were or what your timing point was, here it is.
Yep. And
so you started from there.
Yeah. So, so that's where we're taking place timeline wise in this book. And it's following, multiple storylines and that kind of interweaves sometimes, but we've got, Mon Mothma. She's probably the main character of the book.
Agreed.
And it's, her dealing with, the Empire now the way it is, being part of that delegation of 2000, which that was a scene from Revenge of the Sith that got deleted, was the scenes where Padme, Bail Organa, and Mon Mothma were getting together and being like, hey, this shit with Palpatine's kind of fucked up. He's not giving up power. We might want to, use our senatorial powers to force some change here.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then they actually mentioned it by name in one of those deleted scenes, the delegation of 2000.
Right. Which I love. I love pulling tidbits like that into canon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all right, I'm just gonna take this little bit of this story and pull it into canon because it has relevance.
Yeah.
And we can build off of it. I like when that happens.
Yeah. And what's crazy is, I'm sure we've talked about this before, but Genevieve O'Reilly, the gal who plays Mon Mothma in Andor, and, all the other stuff that's been done recently, she was in those deleted scenes in Revenge of the Sith, but they never made it to the light of day. They could have easily just recast her, but they didn't. Like, they chose to bring her back. I think it was originally as a voice in Rebels, the voice for Mon Mothma in Rebels. And then, then we get Rogue One and they recast her in Rogue One. So I like the consistency of them sticking with, somebody that George originally cast for this role.
Right.
And stuck with her for this long.
And I will say too, like doing this, we both listened to this, right? The audiobook.
Yep.
And the woman who did the reading, it was easy for me to believe like this is the voice of Mon Mothma.
Yes, yeah, she was very, very good
when
it came to her voice.
Now, I mean, obviously you have one woman doing like male voices and like all the other voices, so it ended up, you had to suspend your disbelief for some of it, but all in all, I was for the Mon Mothma parts where it was important.
Mm-hmm.
I think that her voice, like I associated with the character, and it was consistent. Like
Yeah.
what you're talking about.
Yeah, that voice actress, she did fine. Even the male voices, I mean, obviously it's going to be a little weird, but
Right.
it's no different from a male narrator
Yeah.
doing a female character,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So,
Eric, there's some lovely filth down here.
yeah, something like that. So yeah, we've got her whole story because her big deal now is now that the Empire is gone or is here, I should say. She's trying to get some kind of order back and some power back to the Senate because Palpatine's just declared himself emperor and he runs everything. Even though the Senate's still there, he's the all supreme emperor. So she's trying to pass this a bill that basically kind of, it's like defining the structure of the Empire, because so much stuff is being done kind of willy-nilly after Palpatine declares the first galactic empire.
Right.
Which that was never true. But
It certainly wasn't the first.
right. So whatever. No need to get nitpicky on that one. So she's trying to get this thing passed through a completely corrupt Senate that has a ton of people who are behind Palpatine. And it's a lot of the stuff that she goes through as, she's trying to get that bill passed. Then on the other side, we got Bail Organa, who's trying to basically exonerate the Jedi because Palpatine is still saying that the Jedi tried to kill him, tried to take over. And that's why he was forced to, implement Order 66 to get rid of them.
Yeah. To eliminate and exterminate them, basically.
Yeah. And I guess, so there's a video that ended up going around within the book of the Jedi having a council meeting where basically they said, we're going to take it from Palpatine. And I guess it was like a doctored video because it had like official Jedi cryptography and everything.
Yeah. Somebody
faked it.
They forged the seal,
Yeah,
basically, and that was the whole crux of Bail. Like, okay, he got this video, he knew it was fake, hence when he was laughing, and the ISB was like, what the fuck is he laughing about?
Yeah,
come to find out later. But this is what sends him on his fucking goose chase, and ends up getting himself in trouble, and end up meeting Saw Gerrera, because of this,
right. Speaking of which, Saw Gerrera and this new character Sujin are their own kind of storyline that again weaves through some of the other ones going on. This Sujin guy is a separatist contingency plan, so to speak.
Right.
We'll talk about that a little bit later. And then we've got this gal Hockey, which every time I heard her name, I did not think Haki. I thought Hockey.
Sure.
The sport. Every time she says hockey, I think the sport hockey. Which was,
because that's how it was said.
Yes. So it was just weird hearing that, and her whatever that apprentice thing is that she had, and a little storyline about that thing. So yeah, those are the four main storylines that are going on in this. Now, before we get into too much detail, we should probably give a spoiler alert.
I threw something into the chat, but yeah, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
If you're reading this, you should turn back.
Yeah. Now, overall thoughts before we get into the spoilers. For me, I enjoyed the book. I could have done without a couple of the branching storylines.
Sure.
Which again, I'll get into as we go. But overall, I thought it was a really enjoyable book. I thought the narrator did a great job.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. I think I was deliberate in my, like, I want to know what's happening next, even though I know what the outcome is.
Sure.
I found myself being critical of some of the decisions. Like, okay, now you're, like, if you're making this decision and bringing it into canon, like, I think they treaded too close to some things,
Mm-hmm.
but then for other things, I think hit so well to the mark.
Yeah.
That it was pretty remarkable. I was overall impressed with the writing and how well it spoke to the Star Wars galaxy, basically.
Yeah.
But like you said, there's definitely some parts of this that were probably a little bit extraneous.
Yeah.
But overall, I think this is a really good book, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
I am looking forward to the next one also, so long as a certain character isn't in it. But
I don't think you're gonna have a choice.
Anyway. So yeah, spoiler alert from here, because we're gonna get into some of the details. Now, I did not actually take notes because I was busy actually listening to the book, so I'm just going from memory here
All right.
as we go along. But
Do it to it. That's what I do every time.
Yeah. So let's start with Mon Mothma, because we're getting into her story. We're getting into some of her personal stuff, but it's also predominantly surrounded her trying to carefully navigate the new empire,
Right.
while trying to get this bill passed, and also being followed. And
Well, so I think a couple of big things we need to take away from this book and Mon Mothma.
okay,
One of them is after the Palpatine takeover,
mm-hmm.
the Jedi, or not the Jedi, the senators that were deemed as being potentially not being loyal,
Mm-hmm.
getting rolled up.
Yes, yeah,
And-
the delegation of 2000.
Right. So Mon Mothma gets rolled up, and then she's put in the box, basically, with
Yeah.
a dung and urine can.
Right, and I think this is the first time that we're hearing about this, right?
Yes.
Because we knew of the delegation of 2000 from the Revenge of the Sith deleted scenes, but now like they're jumping right into like their,
Like
Basi-
the Empire didn't trust you from the jump.
yeah,
Like Palpatine knew you were up to something.
yeah, and they arrested him like
Right.
right after the Empire was
Like-
created. They fucking arrested him.
Immediately to jail.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Do not pass go.
Yeah.
Do not collect $200.
Parking ticket, jail.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that goes back to the whole Andor thing too.
Yeah. So I think her PTSD from that, for lack of a better term,
Mm.
was very telling about why her character was motivated the way she was.
True. Yeah.
Because even while we're watching her in Andor,
Mm.
it's tough to like, yeah, okay, Empire's bad, like they're ruling with an iron fist, but is this really enough? Is this really enough for you as someone of your stature and your position to be a part of this?
Yeah.
Something has to happen, and I think that's what this book is telling us. Like, this is what happened. This is the core of why Mon Mothma is starting a rebellion.
Yeah. Because she sees like right out the gate how unfair they can be, and how
Yeah. And knows that Palpatine is the core of what's evil about this, and that ultimately, while she naively believes that the Senate still can be saved and have this power, hence this imperial, what is it called? The Imperial Structure Bill, or
yeah, I can't
or-
remember what the exact.
I think it was
verbiage
the Imperial Restructuring Act or some shit like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Sounded very, very like something that would be floated and bantied about today.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, don't get me started with all of the analogies to today's
my
politics. Oh my God.
Well, and what's really sidebarring to that,
Mm-hmm.
without getting into today's politics, when you're reading the first chapter, and I alluded to this when I had started reading it, and you hadn't started it yet. Those first few chapters, he wasn't like, when he was writing those chapters before this book was out, the situation wasn't as it was now.
Right.
So it's not like he was writing based on what's happening now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so happens to be having very, very close relations.
Similarities. Obviously, we're not living in tyrannical empire, but
Right.
there's a lot of parallels that are drawn.
There it's and obviously there again you're if you're a student of psychology, and there's things to be said and drawn for that, but the reality is that the picture that's painted about what this the power of the Senate and the kind of the neutering of the Senate with the empire being formed and the emperor taking over and the not Paz-Vizsla. What?
Masamida,
thank you.
Yeah.
Paz-Vizsla. Fuck did that come from?
I mean, it's another Star Wars character.
I know, but like not even the same species.
No, definitely not.
Anyway, you have basically the end of the power of the Senate. So this is her fuck, I lost it. Gone. It's gone. Fuck.
Okay.
Anyway.
All right. Well,
I forget.
I'm sure it'll come to you as we go along.
God damn it, Jason.
Yeah. So a lot of one thing we find out early
What
on
the fuck was I talking about?
is obviously the arrest. And like you said, they basically put her in a box. She basically got tortured for, what was it, like 3 or 4 days or something like that?
I don't think she couldn't determine how long it was.
Right.
Which is the point, right? It's classic. This is what it's like to be in the box. That you can't. It's sensory deprivation. Like if you're in there long enough, you're shitting on yourself, basically.
Yeah, which she did.
Right. If you have your dung and urine can and it's filled because you're hydrated or whatever, now you have to deal with that embarrassment. I mean, it's like taking you and bringing you down to the lowest level.
Yeah.
So that you're going to be more compliant. And that's exactly what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
Which is, if I ever captured anybody, is exactly what I would
do. Yeah, and it's basically
that's what they taught me.
Right, because they didn't want to just straight up execute them, because they still have to, show a good face for the rest of the galaxy, and not just immediately start killing political opponents.
Right.
So this was basically their way of intimidating them and basically letting them know we can do whatever the fuck we want. You just
it's an interesting thing, right? Because as we move along with this, you wonder why, like, Palpatine obviously knows that this underlying thing is happening. Like when Mon Mothma is going and talking to like crime bosses and doing all this other shit, there's no way he doesn't know that these things are happening, and that this Senate bill is going to hit the floor to get voted on. Like, he knows that's going to happen. If we're to believe that he's got the master plan,
this being Palpatine,
yeah, right, and he's watching this happen, it's got to be so that he can flush out his enemies.
Oh yeah,
so he can see, like, okay, here's the people, right? Here's the people that are loyal to the throne, and then here's the people that aren't.
Right.
And so at some point he's going to have to start eliminating those people. Excuse me. It's just we're not at that point yet.
Right. Yeah. So we get that early arrest, and I forgot where I was going to go next with that. But yeah, the early arrest. She comes up with this bill. Oh yeah, they're all being followed. By the way, like all of these senators from that delegation are all being followed by Imperial agents.
Right. It's not the ISB just yet. It's like an Imperial security, like, kind of.
Yeah, I think they just refer to them as Imperial security.
Right. It's not the ISB proper, like we see it here.
Yeah.
In Andor.
Yeah.
Do you hear music?
No. Dave's losing head.
It's a dove. It's a morning dove. It's fine.
The birds are singing.
Oh my god. Go ahead, keep talking.
All right, so one of the big things that happens during her storyline is she's, reliving some of this past torture, trying to, reconcile with what's going on today, is that she finds out that they're going to be reintegrating, a lot of the separatist planets into the Empire. And they're going to give a lot of these planets their own senatorial seats. So they're going to be re-welcoming all of these senators back in, as well as, the planets back into the Empire. And that's when Mon Mothma sees her chance. Like this is how I'm going to get this bill passed, is by, befriending the delegations from the separatists, in addition to my own people, what remnants she had from the delegation to 2000,
right?
Which a lot of those people dropped out after, the whole arrest and torture thing,
right?
Because they're like, fuck that,
Yeah, they're it does. You can throw all the fucking luncheons you want. Yeah, I don't feel like getting fucking rolled up again.
Yeah.
So even people that were friends of this movement, as she's going and talking to them, are giving her the cold shoulder.
Yeah. And what's interesting too is they really start fleshing out this relationship between Mon Mothma and Bail Organa, which I thought was just always cordial. They were always working towards the same thing,
right?
Which apparently that's not the case, because they were in disagreement for a good portion of this book.
Yeah.
Because they each had their own priorities. She wanted to get this imperial structure bill, passed, while Bail's like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm more focused on the Jedi.
Right.
Because, he was there. He saw with his own eyes what happened to the Jedi, and is found that piece of forged video and is trying to prove that it was a forgery. So that's like his main driver, is he's trying to, first he goes to the underworld to try and find like this great splicer guy. I can't remember the dude's name.
I can't either.
But it was irrelevant, because he was supposed to be like the best forger in the galaxy. He got to his the place where he hung out, but didn't get past his guards before they tried to kill him, and then that whole storyline was done once fucking Hockey got him out of there.
Right.
So
Hockey being the ISB, or the intelligence agent that was tasked for watching him.
Yeah.
This old ass, whatever the hell she was, humanoid.
Yeah, but not human.
Right. I don't know why she couldn't be human. I don't understand, but whatever. Not being a humanist, but it just added a level of complexity that wasn't necessary. Yeah. Speaking
of that, though, we get a great callback to like the Legends days, where, back in the Legends books, they mentioned very deliberately many times how Palpatine was not a fan of non-humans.
Right.
Like, he hated non-humans. And in this, they start talking about how, they're seeing more and more humans in these senatorial seats or these places of power, and less of other species. Like when they have that meeting with the governors, because this is after the governors get appointed, they noticed that most of those were non-human.
Yeah. It was...
Or were human. I'm sorry.
It was remarkable that there was non-human, like any non-humans at all. That was notable. It's like, wow, look, there's actually a couple of non-humans here.
Yeah. So we're already seeing that in the Empire. And I almost wonder if that's part of the reason why we find on way later on that Hockey is kind of on the outs with her organization. Like they basically...
Well,
I
think
we're getting ready to kick her to the curb.
So there's a lot about this book that I think has basis in reality, which is I find really interesting. Either from the storytelling or whatever, but I think Hockey's on the outs because she cared more about running her agents than she did appeasing the Empire.
Right. She had her own motivations.
Right. And, if you think, if you've read enough spy novels or, or anything like that, it's the it is one of those things that is a kind of a constant thing where you have, if somebody is running human in a particular human intelligence, sorry, if somebody's running human in a particular area, that their loyalty is to make sure that those individuals are get taken care of.
Yeah.
And sometimes it seems like that their loyalty is more towards that than the other. And I think that's where she started. Like, she lost a handful of agents that she couldn't resolve that.
Yeah.
That's why she took in
Oh, it's fucking
they them.
Yeah, what was it? I can't remember its name. Whatever it was.
Xena's sister, right? Or cousin. Cousin?
Yeah, the cousin of the chick that got killed that was Mon Mothma's.
Right. Zuma.
Yeah.
Zuma's cousin.
Unlike Zima, which was a fine beverage.
Fine beverage for getting underage kids.
Of course. I was drinking that shit when I was 18. It was great.
Malt liquor, baby. Anyway, yeah, the Hockey was running, one of his agents or one of her agents was in that family.
Right.
So
the brother of the thing.
Shimei
Shimong?
Shimmy go go pop shimmy rah.
Yeah, I don't know. That whole storyline I intentionally did not put much brain power into. The whole her apprentice and her apprentice's brother who was missing and her apprentice's cousin who was bludgeoned to death by someone. Like, I didn't really
the 40s.
Yeah,
that whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Because all right, let's just get this out of the way. Okay. I know a lot of you out there are not going to like to hear this. And I'm sorry, but I have to do this. This fucking character, Hockey's apprentice. Again, I can't even remember what the fucking thing's name is. But they stressed multiple times. I think there were 3 times that I noticed that they referred to it as a human. Like, so it was a human, but of course it does not refer to it as a specific gender. It gives it they them pronouns that we get to hear every fucking chapter that this fucking thing is in the book. And I'm sorry, people. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. Non-binary is not a real thing. If somebody out there says I'm neither male nor female, they're just trying to get attention. I'm sorry. That's all it is. And, you know, I know Dave may have his own opinions, and this doesn't represent the opinions of the show itself, but I'm sorry. Non-binary is basically a way for ugly people to try and make themselves feel special. I'm sorry. That's all it is. And the fact that, you know, Disney and these other, you know, organizations out there are trying to kowtow to that. And now I get to listen to a fucking audiobook where half the time when she's referring to they, I'm like, wait a minute. Is she talking about the group, Hockey and the Apprentice, doing something? Or are they just talking about the fucking thing that's doing something? And I hate that so much. And look, if you want to claim you're non-binary, that's on you. I'm never going to refer to somebody as they or them, so don't get me to respect your pronouns. But you can do it if you want. That's fine. But just know that we know that it's not real. That it's fake. You're just trying to get attention. You're probably pretty ugly. You probably have blue or green hair. And yeah, I'm sorry whatever trauma happened to you in your life to where you feel like you need to embrace this, but you're wrong. I'm sorry. And I don't want this they them shit in my novels when I'm trying to pay attention while I'm driving or doing something else. And then it's like, oh, and then they did this and then they did that. I'm like, okay, cool. And then come to find out she's just referring to one individual person who is not a they, who is a single person. Fuck non-binary. It's stupid. It's wrong. If you're a dude and you think you're a woman, go for it, man. I'll even call you a woman. If you're a woman and you think you're a man, you know, by all means, you know, do you. I'll even call you a man. but non-binary is not real. It's dumb.
Yeah. The they, them, or referring to they for Chemish was the character.
Chamish, yes.
And
I cringed every time I heard that fucking name come up in a new chapter.
so the problem was it's overuse.
Yes. And it was
you
deliberate.
You don't. Well, it was either deliberate or it was, hey, you don't understand how much a pronoun is used until you change it to something that's not normally used.
Right.
Right. If it had been she, we wouldn't have even thought about it, and it's probably in there the same amount.
Right.
Like, I don't even know that it's used more. It was in there more than it needed to be.
It seemed like, yes, because I think this was very deliberate. The books and the comics is where Disney gets to really do their wokest stuff, you know, because they try to be a little bit neutral in the live action stuff, but when it comes to books and comics, they've got all kinds of weird shit, like the non-binary twin Jedis that I heard about from the High Republic.
Yeah.
Again, not real.
It's
unless it's a species thing. Now, see, there could be a whole like species that has like 3 genders, like a male, a female, and something in between. But they deliberately referred to him or her as human, like at least 3 times that I caught.
It was deliberate, and it was repetitive,
Yes.
and it wasn't necessary for the story.
Right, and it was trying to shove it in our faces.
Yeah. And it's a shame because it was an otherwise very well written thing. This use of pronoun that may have like, hey, maybe you wanted to do. This is your version of some activism, which, hey, you're the writer. This is what's getting out. I bought the book.
Yeah, I bought the audiobook. That's
so, but at the same time, I think when you're writing something like this, there's a at some point you have to go like, all right, this is enough.
Yeah.
Right. This is like when you're sitting and you're listening to a story being told, it's like, is you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I like it. It took me a minute to adjust to it, and I questioned whether or not Chemish was human.
Yeah.
A lot of the book, because you had Hockey, who was a humanoid, and Chemish was being referred to as they. And honestly, my brain doesn't go immediately to non-binary. Like I just like,
as it shouldn't, because it's not a real thing.
Right. So, but in the Star Wars universe, right, you could have a creature that is a hive mind.
Sure.
And that's how they're referred to it. So when I'm reading Star Wars, that's where I'm deferring to.
Right. And
so it didn't, every time I was trying to resolve that in my head and it went to human, it just seemed awkward. So it wasn't necessary, honestly. Yeah. And but saying that, I didn't mind the storyline.
No, the story was fine.
With her being like, with Hockey basically, you know, bringing her on as an apprentice to be able to spy on, especially because her cousin was Mon Mothma's secretary.
Yeah,
you know. So I think there was a level like with the spycraft that was actually made that, you know, plausible. And, you know, using that portion of the character. But there was also non-human traits with Chemish.
Yeah.
Which I found like, okay, why are we like running around this area like a monkey? It was just, it did every time I had, it was there was this decoding that I had to do.
Yeah.
But I didn't mind the story that Chemish had, and Chemish being by herself trying to figure out, like, my handler's gone.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm coming across all this information. So Chemish has to go to the ISB and like, hey, my handler was this broad, and they're going like, we don't know who that is,
Right.
and then she gets locked in a room, and all of a sudden, fucking some dude shows up, leans into her ear, and she's like, I know you're with hockey. Hockey's dead to us.
Yeah.
You should leave now. We liked your brother, but you need to go and pretend that you don't know this broad.
Yeah.
I just thought that was fucking cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, a lot of the stuff that they did in this was cool. I'll just say this. First of all, this book made me actually not cringe every time Saw Gerrera was on screen, so that was a good thing.
Right.
And again, like if the rest of the book hadn't been so good, and if I found out that fucking what's its face was in the next book, I'd kind of lean on the side of not listening to the next audiobook in the series. But the rest of the story was so good that I will give it a pass, but I just want the record to show that I do not support this thing's they them pronoun. Sorry, I just can't get behind it. It's too distracting in the book. It just makes me fucking aggravated.
Duly noted.
Yes. So anyway, we can move on from that now.
I knew it was that too. I knew it. I knew it as soon as you said something. I'm like, oh, I know what this is going to be about. Anyway, so we covered Chemish.
Yes. We haven't talked about Saw, Gerrera, and Sujin yet.
No, so we can kind of like this.
I'm getting texts.
Did we get enough of Bail Organa to like?
We haven't really scratched the surface on his story yet.
No, not really. His level of activism and how different it was than Mon Mothma. So that's something that you started to talk about.
Right.
They talk. I want to say that the words he used later in the book were actually like pretty poignant, where he talks about how Mon Mothma was basically like she's like the tactician, whereas he's like, oh, I'm the person that goes out and talks to people.
Yeah, like he could be the face.
Right, and gets the votes, where you're the person that actually like comes up with the plans and shit like that. So there started to be this like very clear line of like what Bail Organa and what Alderaan represented.
Yeah.
You start getting this picture of like how Alderaan is presented in this galaxy. With the Queen and Bail's kind of like tagging along with the Queen initially, and then he kind of makes a name for himself by.
Yeah. Now, and that's something I wanted to ask you. Did we know this ahead of time that his wife was the queen of the world, and he was just a senator that she happened to marry? Like, did we know this before?
I think so.
Because Leia obviously had to get her princess title from somewhere.
I think we knew that.
Okay.
Why did we know that, though?
I don't remember.
I don't either.
Yeah. Because as I'm listening to this, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool.
I think
like, should I have known that before?
I think it was part of Leia's backstory in one of the other books.
Oh. Maybe in the Bloodline book?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I know they did like a Leia trilogy of books also that we never really looked at. I think they might have been young adult novels, though.
Yeah, I don't remember, but yeah, it wasn't like a surprise to me. What was, I guess, what was more surprising was like, the Queen's deference to her husband's shenanigans. Like he goes and disappears for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
right? It's like,
oh yeah. By the way, while they have this newborn baby that they're trying to figure out what the fuck to do with.
Right. Well, they got Nanny Bot for that.
Right.
Like, oh, hey, they make a point at one and early on where Bail is like holding Leia, crying, and what's the Queen's name? I can't think of it right now. Anyway, she goes like, give her the Nanny Bot. Like, come on, like she'll stop her from crying. He's like, no, she should know that like if something's up, and I can come and we have her, we're protecting her, and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
A little bit over the top, I think, of like what they're trying to present. Like, hey, these are these overbearing parents.
Mm-hmm.
But the other part of the strange is the timeline that we're talking about. And spoiler alert, Mon Mothma gets knocked up at the end of this, right?
Yes.
So we know.
Well, that's what we're led to believe, essentially.
Come on, buddy, come on, buddy. Everybody knew when she said, "I don't know why I let him fuck me" at the end.
Right.
Because that's basically what she said. She's like, I got the cock and balls. Like
she said it just like that,
yeah,
too.
Like right at the end of the book. I got some balls and some cock.
Yeah. Which we haven't even talked about her relationship with her husband yet.
Do it for mama.
Where basically, what's the guy's name? Fuck.
Which one?
Mon Mothma's husband.
Perrin,
yeah. Where they were an arranged marriage.
Right.
From when they were like teenagers.
Right.
So, and they went
That's how Chandra is.
Yeah. They, old enough to bleed, old enough to breed, as they say on Alderaan or on Chandrila. But yeah, they were an arranged marriage, and they were never like that really deep in love with each other. Like it was just all kind of matter of fact. She mentions like there were years where they would like sleep in separate bedrooms, and they barely saw each other going in and out.
Right. And we're led to believe, based on her narrative, that there was never any infidelity. It was just like this was their arrangement.
Yeah.
Like,
though she wanted to fuck that other guy.
Oh, the whole time.
Yeah.
That
other senator.
Ludd, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
The guy that she basically at one point was like, yeah, I think the ISB should be following that guy.
Yeah.
Right. And Bail Organa too.
Yeah, we got a little bit of the Hollywood naming names.
Right, I'm gonna drop some Epstein names behind me.
Yeah,
and because I'm gonna run off and do some shit. So I want you guys to sprinkle some crack and get the fuck out of here.
Mm. What was it the hearings that they would have about back in Hollywood where they were asking them if they were, part of communist parties? And they asked him to name names. Like they wouldn't let you go until you named.
Oh, you talking about McCarthy?
Yeah.
McCarthyism.
Yeah, I see little hints of that in this.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, if you weren't loyal to the party, then that's when you're going to ask questions.
Yeah.
So, any sort of input that would trend towards the negative, well, they have to figure that out.
Yeah.
They have to go run that down.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously.
Right.
Because you can't deface the party.
Right. So anyway, yeah, I just caught hints of that too as we were going through a lot of the trials and tribulations of Senator Mothma.
Yeah, because she was one of the things that you get out of her character, and we're jumping around a little bit, and that's because Jason didn't do notes. When you get out of her character is she is a senator. Like, this is her career.
Yes.
She was built and bred for this.
Mm-hmm.
And she works the system, right? Oh, how do I do this? Who do I work for this? Like, I'm going to put this party together. Who's going to be there? How work this part of the room? Oh, hey, I got a trophy husband who likes to drink and fucking party, and a lot of people like him. So, hey, husband, go over and shut Bail Organa up because he likes you, and he, if I go over and say something, he'll just fucking get louder.
Yeah, because that's in reference to they were at a party or something, and he was like openly like just dogging the Emperor. And,
yeah. And basically like, yeah, fuck the Emperor. He can eat my suck my dick. Like it's and she's like, oh my god, he's gonna get us all in trouble.
Yeah, so
like,
that's what she's
fuck that guy. Suck my prune ass dick, bitch. Like.
And she's like, Perrin, do something about him.
Right. Perrin, like, come on. He's not even making any sense. Just go over there and shut him up. Like, what? He's not doing anything wrong. Suck my pruny balls, Emperor. Suck him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he wasn't even drinking. That was the worst part.
I can only imagine.
Parents of Jews, she cries after sex.
Yeah, but it's a very interesting relationship they paint between her and Perrin, which is probably setting up whenever she fucking leaves her life as a senator to go join the rebellion full time. Because
I don't think she ever leaves the life of a senator.
she does. Yeah, because that happened in Rebels, if you recall.
I don't.
Yeah,
Obviously,
there was a series of episodes where she fucking declared she resigned her seat at the Senate and declared herself part of the alliance of something or other.
Yeah, I have to go back and watch that.
Yeah.
But she never all right, yeah, she leaves the Senate, but she doesn't leave what she's doing.
No, I think she's up and goes to Yavin with the rest of them and is just all right, I'm with you here now.
Right, but she's still doing Mon Mothma shit. She's still basically acting as a leader and still working working on we have to get funding, we have to do this, we have to do that. She's still doing all that.
Yeah.
So she doesn't turn it off. It's not like she fucking goes and buggers off with fucking Ludd.
Right.
When Ludd's like, hey, why don't we just fucking go run away to some fucking exotic planet?
Yeah.
And,
she's like,
directed by George Lucas.
Yeah.
Right. Which would have been the end, right? Because if she's not involved in this from the beginning, then most likely the rebellion doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Saul is just doing what he does on his own. Bail Organa probably sucks on the Emperor's balls and gets killed. And that's it.
Yeah.
Luke never finds the Force. Han does whatever he does. Gets hand jobs by fucking Chewie. I mean,
oh God, I hope not. Oh God, if his jizz got into Chewie's hair, ugh.
Maybe that's how it stays. They use that as it's like mousse. It's a hair gel.
Ugh, it's disgusting. Does Chewie even take baths or showers?
I don't know. He probably licks himself like a cat.
Oh, self-cleaning. Gotcha.
That's why he has to be so tall to reach out everywhere.
All right, fair enough. See, you learned something new about the Wookiees today.
Right, that's right.
Okay, so speaking of Saw Gerrera, do we want to talk about him and Sujin?
Yeah.
And that whole storyline?
Yeah.
So yeah, Sujin it was a very confusing chapter at first because he's just like a guy that just emerges from this fucking pod. Mm-hmm. He's in some fucking birthing pod kind of thing.
Right. What I envisioned was in the Matrix.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just in this fluid.
Yeah.
And just bleh.
Yeah, hooked up to all these fucking machines and shit. But yeah, we find out this guy is Sujin. He's got a shitload of implants, and he's from the Separatists. He was like a contingency plan that the Separatists had that never really came to fruition.
Right.
He was the first one. Was he the only one?
No, there were supposed to be more of them.
Yeah.
Based on what they're telling in the story.
Yeah.
But it was specific circumstances where they were supposed to get unlocked.
Yeah.
And his situation was Sujin gets basically turned on by Saw Gerrera, but he got brought out of the cache that where all the weapons and everything else were.
Yeah.
On that planet that I can't think of the name of right now that I'm struggling with. By other pirates.
Right.
So they were like, hey, that looks important. We're going to throw that on the fucking ship. So they throw the pod on there. And then when Saw Gerrera takes that over, we find this pod, and we're like, oh, wonder what this button does. Boop. And then fucking wake up Sujin.
Yeah.
So now Sujin's with fucking Saw Gerrera, what day is it? I don't know. I'm having trouble controlling the volume of my voice.
Takes him to the P trough.
Austin Powers reference.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a good one. Who are these people? The shouting is a side effect of the unfreezing process.
Anyway, so yeah, so you have Sujen, who's like they pulled from his family, almost like a Jedi, right? It's like, all right,
Yeah.
we're gonna pull you from your family. We're going to doctor you up.
Yep.
With a bunch of fucking implants and shit. So you're gonna walk around like the Terminator.
Mm-hmm.
And ironically, because I'm reading the Murderbot series, like it struck me as being like Murderbot.
Okay. Well, yeah, because he's got implants. He's got like a little fucking laser implant.
Right.
And, like they can like cut people's throats. Apparently.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Just like he's got a built-in energy weapon.
Yeah.
And has fucking data ports and shit like that can plug in.
Mm-hmm.
And what becomes important later, a self-destruct mechanism.
Yeah.
For the power supply that's inside him.
Yep.
So, spoiler alert. Might need that later.
Yeah. And yeah, he's his whole programming was to basically, in case of the loss by the separatists, that he would keep going.
Right.
In whatever way possible to continue the work of the separatists.
Yep.
And that's kind of what's driving him through a majority of this book. Well, really through all of it until the end.
Yeah, he's all the decisions he's making and like, all right, staying with Saul, trying to figure out like, okay, when do I kill all of these people and take what they have?
Yeah.
All right, no, we're moving towards this particular thing. And when Sujen makes the deal with Saw Gerrera to like, okay, we're going to go look for the cache.
Yeah.
Like, cause Sujen has it in his brain. Like, okay, I can get you in there.
Yeah.
To like where the goodies are. And that's what Saul wants.
Yep.
It's like, I want the goodies.
Mm-hmm.
You can have whatever data or anything else that you want in there, but I want the
guns.
I want the weapons and all the other shit.
Yeah.
So Sujen agrees to it until he comes up with something better. Mm-hmm. And they run into, when they get to the planet where the cache is where they run into Bail Organa and Hockey.
Right, because Bail Organa, he's still looking for the proof to exonerate the Jedi.
Right.
And apparently he got a lead that this cache might have some data that that proves that.
Yeah, because they're on another planet that, Hockey keeps Bail from stepping on a fucking landmine, literally.
Yeah.
Dejoritz. That's not that planet, but the planet they end up going to.
Mm-hmm.
Was it something El Dejoritz? Does that sound right?
Yeah, sounds better than anything I could come up with. So,
but what's important, like where all these like crossroads start to meet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mon's doing her thing. She's wheeling and dealing to try and get her bill passed.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Bail Organa is off on a secret mission in uncharted space.
Mm-hmm.
He's got Hockey with him.
Right. Which at first she was just following him because she was his tail,
Right.
from the Imperial security.
Until he was getting himself in trouble, and then she kind of like interjected herself, and then she sold herself off as like, oh, I'm Senate security.
Yeah.
And he had no reason to not believe her because she could speak to it, and she's a professional spy. So it's just okay. So now when he wants to go off to these other planets, Hockey is like, well, I can use you to get me off planet to find out where my agents are.
Right.
Because ultimately that's what her goal is.
Yes.
Like, I want to find these agents.
Yeah, everybody in this book has their own motivations, yet they all kind of end up interweaving and tying their stories together.
Yep. So when Toro, what the fuck? It's Deljor. It's something. Somebody look that up for me. It's killing me.
Yeah,
I don't know the full name of the planet.
I couldn't find a good spoiler synopsis of this online anywhere. Even Wikipedia doesn't have
Deljor. It's something Deljor. Anyway, the planet, which apparently that planet, and I hadn't heard of it before. I'm willing to bet that it's probably in other books.
Mm-hmm.
Because the way they described it seemed like it would be something that they had in other books.
Yeah, are we talking the planet that's got like all the old art and everything?
Right, the one that's like preserved, like the old architecture and everything else.
Yeah.
That, spoiler, it gets destroyed because they they blew open a dam, which okay, right? Apparently, it was a big fucking lake on the other side of that dam because it destroyed the planet
Right.
somehow. Somehow Palpatine survived, and so did Hockey.
Yeah, speaking of which, that chapter where, the water starts gushing out and she gets like swept away, it really seemed like they were writing like she was dying right there.
Right.
Like I thought she was dead after that chapter.
And I didn't understand why you would keep her alive. Like, there's no reason to keep her alive. Like, okay, yeah, she's dead.
Yeah, it would have been a fine ending to that story.
Done story. Okay, end trans.
Mhm.
Cool. You got Bail this far, right? Because what happens to get to that point is Bail, his ship is seen by Saw's,
his group, yeah,
his scouts, and they go find where Bail Organa is, and they take him.
Yeah, they roll him up,
and they take him hostage, and they beat him up real good because Hockey kills one of Saul's people.
Right.
So they're like have no mercy on him. And break his ribs and fucking they beat him up real good, and they beat Hockey up real good too, which fuck her, she deserves it.
I don't care if she's an old lady.
Yeah, fuck that old bitch. So now they're like captive, and they're basically they're keeping him alive because he's a senator. They'd probably use him as leverage for something later.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they get to the cache, like this is Bail's opportunity to fucking like, wait, this is a separatist database. They probably have all the information that I'm looking for here.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Sujen is already plugged in, downloaded what he needed to download, and then basically went and fucking threw a thermal detonator into the fucking computers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, you wanted all that? Boop, boop, boop. Fucking blew it up in front of Bail.
Yeah.
Classic. That moment was one of those where I was like, oh, what? He's going to get the fucking information and blah, blah, blah. Nope. No, he's not. Bloom! I'm like, yes! Fuck him. He's not getting that. Because to me, it made no sense for him to get that data. Right?
Sure.
This was one of those things where I thought they were treading a little too close on what is he going to do with this information?
Right.
If he gets it. Right? As we're getting to a point in the book where it's like, okay, Bail and Sujen get off planet, right? After a bunch of shit happens, read the book. We can't do a word for word.
No. Because again, it was like a 20-hour book or something.
Right. But they get into a firefight with the clones.
Yep.
Again, one of the things to talk about, I think, is all the clones.
Yeah, because they're all still in service.
Right. And so get in a firefight with the clones. The SARS people blow up the doors, which end up being doors to the other side of a fucking dam.
Yeah.
Flood the planet, destroy all the archaeology and everything else.
Yep.
But somehow Bail Organa and Sujen survive
Mm-hmm.
together. So they get to Bail's ship and they start heading towards Coruscant.
Yeah.
And Bail thinks that he's convincing Sujen, like, hey, you're going to turn state's evidence and you're going to fucking go talk to the Chief Justice and we're going to right all the wrongs of the world and blah, blah. And Sujen's sitting there going like, this is the dumbest fucking plan I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
Am I really going to do this shit? Or I'm going to go ahead and take him hostage when we get there.
Yeah.
And fucking take off. Which is exactly what he did.
Yeah.
Fucking rolled up fucking Bail as soon as they fucking landed.
Mm-hmm.
And held him at gunpoint on the fucking docks.
Yep.
And like, oh, hey, there's the Sujen guy. He's like fucking mercenary. Like in all the vids.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to kill this guy. And he gets away.
Right.
Bail Organa is like, legitimately, even though he rode there with the dude,
Mm-hmm.
and like, hey, I need that guy. He's got information in his head because he told me that he has the Jedi files I need.
Yeah.
So Sujen fucks off. Bail starts mission planning for his next misadventure.
Mm-hmm.
which I don't know where to start or stop with that part of it.
Yeah.
Because while that's happening is when Mon Mothma is having her interaction with the Separatists.
Right. Because, yeah, she's been courting the Separatists. Oh, fuck. She's been courting the Separatists.
Right.
This whole time to, again, try to get votes for her bill. And one of the people that she was talking to knew of Sujin, of, his whole, the contingency and everything.
Because Sujin actually, it was the, what was it? the Jeljoris was the fucking planet I couldn't think of. That separatist leader Sujin saw and was like, I need to kill that guy because that guy's one of the reasons I'm in this situation. Like, he's a traitor because he's working with the administration to further what he wants, not to fight the war, to beat the rebels or beat the Republic. Right. So Sujin sees him as as a traitor.
Right.
So his instinct is, I want to kill that guy. And so that guy, whose name again is not coming to me, Jason, you should have took notes.
I know.
Damn it. But that future senator knew that, oh fuck, you turned on Sujin, shit. So he's gonna try killing me. I know this is gonna happen. So I'm gonna go ahead and not come. I'm not gonna show up until you figure this the fuck out.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of dialogue in there too about how the separatists want they want shared blame. They want the Republic to share the blame for escalating the situation, because they're in reality, and something that I think is overarching in this book that you come to realize, and they start to realize it too. It's that Palpatine, he constructed everything that created this monster that they're in the middle of.
Yeah.
So I think the separatists and why they were the way they were in that fucking interrogation for her.
Yeah.
I think the chapter was called Judgment. I think in that chapter specifically, it was more about, hey, we were manipulated too, right? We had our own goals, and we created an army, and we did this, but we were manipulated, and so were you.
Yeah.
So there's shared blame here that we didn't see this. And that's what, the whole thing with, like, there was reparations.
Yeah, which that was crazy. The reparations they put on the separatists, as part of the reintegration plan, was they basically, like, put a massive bill that they had to pay that is going to take them like a century to pay off, something like that, they said.
Yeah. Or more than that.
Or like generations.
Like a generation to pay.
Yeah.
And the separatists, like, it was, they wanted to work their way back, but not necessarily for domination, just for, like, okay, hey, we want our seat back at the table so that we can, feed people. Because that was part of the underlying thing, is like, all right, our people are hungry.
Yeah.
We need Palpatine's effort, his line of effort to make what he was doing and so endearing that he was seen as the savior. Right. Even to the enemy. Right. So if the enemy looks at you and goes like, yeah, we were the defeated, however, he's the one that's feeding us. Now you're dependent on him to feed you.
Right.
And that's what was happening with the separatists. And at the same time, with the winners, the people of the new empire, they saw it as, we won, we have peace. Right. Yeah.
Well, that's how Palpatine sold it, right?
Right.
The whole thing was about peace and stability.
And I think it was so well illustrated in the book when even, like, Mon Mothma and Ludd are sitting at the cafe, and they have this kind of extrapolation of, yeah, today, like when you were brushing your teeth, like were you thinking about the war? Like you weren't. Like you there's normality that was built, you know, into your day. Like you're not thinking about the war. You're not thinking about how many people got killed. You know, like Palpatine did that.
Mm-hmm.
He stopped the war. So like even Mon Mothma at some point was like, yeah, there is peace right now.
Yeah.
Right. And coming to grips with that, like, and it's brought up several times, is like, okay, we can have this rebellion, but it's going to require us going back to war.
Right.
And you have to be willing to do that. And you have to convince people. This is the stroke of brilliance from Palpatine, because like, if you got peace, if you've been at war this whole time, and like, it's equated to like the Civil War in the United States, right?
Mm-hmm.
If the South tried to rise again, somebody gets up there and is like, yeah, we're gonna go, and the South had just lost 63% of their adult males because of the war. Who's going to go fight when now you have peace?
Nobody.
Who's going to do that? Nobody is.
Yeah.
Now you're dependent on the enemy to fucking feed you. You have to rebuild all your cities. Who is going to fight at that point?
Yeah.
That is the definition of dominating the battlefield and winning.
Oh yeah.
So, and it's very eloquent, and it's done very well, I think, in this book. It gives you that illustration of like how complete the plan was.
Right.
To fucking be dominant and make everyone have to come to fucking Empire. Like, yeah, you want to eat, you got to come to me. You want to act up, I'm gonna throw a bunch of fucking cranky ass clones that are like the Meeseeks. They feel like they should be dead by now. I'm just gonna throw them down there on top of you, and gonna stomp the shit out of you until you fucking comply.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're gonna comply, and then I'll feed you. Like, that's how this is gonna work.
Yeah.
You get the stick until you comply, then you get the carrot.
Yeah. We get this. Well, let's talk about when they actually go to vote. Like, I know we're kind of skipping around, but they go to vote on Mon Mothma's bill, and I'm sitting here thinking the whole time, like, I mean, obviously it's not going to pass because it, gives all this structural power back to the Senate, takes power away from Palpatine, and he's not going to stand for that, so he's going to do something to kind of fuck it over.
Right.
But through a whole bunch of things that Mon Mothma and even Bail Organa happen to pull between the two of them, they get it passed, which I found was shocking until we got to that scene with Mon Mothma and Masamida.
Well, before we get to that, we have to talk about what happened with Mothma. So, Sujen.
Oh yeah.
She has an encounter with Sujen.
Yes.
And in that encounter, well, let's rewind even further. So when Mon Mothma is talking to the Separatist leader, he's basically like, "Hey, that Sujen character, that's a fucking problem. He has a mechanism built into him to self-destruct.
Yeah,
we can control his destruction by using these two words, right? If you use those two words, one is an arming word, the other one's a detonation word.
Yeah.
So put that in your pocket and use it as necessary." Mothma gets back, wants to arrange a meeting with Sujen.
Yeah.
Because her intent is to either bring Sujen in, because she's using, I'll bring in Sujen to bail, right? I'll bring in Sujen because he's not going to show up if you're there.
Yeah.
Right. I'll bring him in and see if I can get him to the table to talk to your Chief Justice in that stupid plan. If you work the polls for me and get these people and tell them everything's going forward, I'm not there. I'm working some other angle.
Yeah.
But get the people on board with this fucking bill. do your bit.
Yeah.
And I'll go get Sujen so you can do your Jedi bit. So she goes and fucks off into the city. And she meets up with Sujen. The meeting doesn't necessarily go great, but it's good enough where Sujen and her get into a vehicle together. And based on a conversation, Mon Mothma basically triggers the
arming
of Sujen.
Yeah, and by the way, his plan at this point is to first kill that separatist guy who's going to be a senator,
right?
And then he's going for Palpatine after that.
Yeah, that's what he told her, like, oh no, like my solution set is I'm going to kill Palpatine.
Right.
She was like, you're not going to be able to do that. He's like, well, I'm pretty good at what I do. That's my plan. And so she's like, all right, so we'll go with that, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And she realizes that he's going to do more harm than good. And that's why she kind of arms him.
Yeah.
And now she's part of his plan. Hey, I'm going to use your codes to get into the area of the city that's basically locked down.
Yeah, and she's going to guide him a little bit to where he needs to go.
So instead, what happens is she gets dropped off out of the speeder, and in the comlink, she says the detonation word, blows Sujen up mid thought.
Yeah.
And apparently is close. Mon Mothma is close enough to the blast to get fucked up.
Right. And the extent of her fucked upness was surprising.
Yeah. Yeah. And this for me was probably a little bit too much fucked upness.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you said.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing, like, okay, I get it. You have some metal in your heart or whatever. Cool. But now you don't have a stomach, some mechanical stomach in there.
Yeah. She's got like an artificial stomach.
Right. I'm like, God damn, I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
Like you can have this much detail and that's cool. But now you got to carry along this canon of like, all right, is she going to go take a shit, or is she just going to go pump up her heart a little bit? Is it like a Reebok pump?
Yeah.
And why don't we see this at all in the rest of anything?
Well, I mean, it just never became relevant, I guess.
I mean, she goes on and pumps old Perrin, like, doesn't have any issues with that.
It's true.
Apparently the uterus stayed intact.
I was just gonna say, yeah, she still got all of her reproductive parts.
The old baby maker still fucking works.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe the kid's a little fucked up, but
yeah.
I mean, old parents,
right?
Yeah, old sperm.
She didn't seem that old though. Mon Mothma. How old is she supposed to be in this?
I have no idea.
Huh. Hold on. We're going to Google. How old is Mon Mothma in Andor? She's 36 years old in Andor, according to this. So she'd have been...
She has like a teenager.
She'd have been like fucking 20 at this point.
Right.
So...
All right, so she's not that old.
Yeah. Yeah, she's in her 20s in this one.
Right.
So prime baby making.
Apparently.
Stomach or not?
Stomach? No, not so much. But baby maker's still working.
Yep.
Apparently enough to make fucking Perrin cry, according to Luna Girl.
Oh, I love it. So all that happens where she blows up Sujen. Then it goes to the vote. The vote and everything passes. She eventually gets released from the hospital and is immediately rolled up again because she gets rolled up multiple times during this.
Right.
And they all bring her back to her memories of being tortured and stuff from the first time. And it's a meeting with Masamida. And... he's being very smug and talking to her, and it's like, I guess congratulations on your bill being passed, but it's not like we're gonna do anything about it,
right?
And he essentially tells her like, yeah, we're not gonna honor this at all. We're just gonna keep doing what the fuck we're doing.
Yeah, it's not like we're gonna change anything. Like,
Yeah.
What are we fucking retarded? No, we're not changing shit. So cool.
And yeah,
Good for you.
yeah. So I think that was the tipping point for her. Like she was pretty much all in on this rebellion before, but now she's
right. Well, it's that, and it's the where they go, right? Because they go to this fucking internment camp.
Oh yeah,
where they're retraining people,
re-educating.
Yes, it's like wait, oh Jesus, and we loops Saw Gerrera into the picture.
Yeah,
because Mon Mothma doesn't have any connection with Saw Gerrera yet.
No,
until this. So now we loop Saw Gerrera because Saw's the one who did the terrorist attack against this camp.
Yes.
Because he knew this camp existed, so he's like, no, fuck this. Like this, you're not going to have this internment camp where you're fucking making people do your bidding, right? There's so much, at its core, like there's so much fucking evil with what's going on in the Empire that is being masked by peace and benevolence.
Right. But as you can see, this is the starts of what they eventually become, like enslaving the entire Wookiee planet or enslaving, massive planets, mass incarceration.
Is that canon?
What?
The Wookiee planet?
Yeah.
It's like enslaving Kashyyyk?
Yeah. Yeah, they went into that in the Aftermath books.
That was Aftermath. Okay.
But yeah, it's been mentioned many times throughout canon and legends.
What about the Wookiees?
What of the Empire's attack on the Wookiees?
All right. Yeah, I there's sometimes it's hard for me to like remember if that was like was that Legends?
Yeah, that's the only shitty thing.
Which there's more. We've gotten more canon to be able to fall back on.
Yeah,
so it happens a lot less. Yeah. But there's sometimes I'm just like,
Yeah. Plus, they're pulling a ton of stuff from Legends all the time too, so that helps. But yeah, he basically just tells her like, yeah, I don't care if you're fucking Bill passed or not. We're not changing for this, which was pretty crazy.
Yeah, and he's like, this is where he kind of throws a gauntlet down. It's like, okay, like you can. Are you willing to start this war? Right? Because she asks him, like, are you willing to go to war for this? And she's like, and he says, are you willing to make all these people suffer, by going to war again? Yeah. And that really becomes the crux of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right. This is the position of power. It's like, yeah, you can start some shit, but we already have the high ground, right?
Yep.
And you're going to be punching way above your fucking weight class.
Oh yeah.
So, good luck. We'll be watching. Hey, but we expect you to do Senate stuff. Like, we're letting you go. We expect you to go do Senate stuff.
Yeah.
Like, go be somebody.
Yeah, go make some bills.
Right.
Make some speeches. Exactly.
And so now, if there was any doubt at all of what she felt like she needed to do, now it was all gone.
Yep. And it was great too, that meeting with the three of them towards the end, where they were kind of agreeing that essentially this is not going to be a quick process. This is going to be many, many years in the making. So we gotta, lay low. Don't bring a lot of attention to ourselves just yet.
Right.
As we slowly start chipping away and trying to figure out, how we're going to do all this.
And I like the fact that there weren't in agreement.
Yeah.
Like, this wasn't a, like, here you have three people that have their own agendas. Whereas Bales was more closely associated with Mon Mothma's, but Saw was in it like, all right, here's my position on this, and you two can't do shit without, you need the guns.
Yeah.
You need these hired guns to be able to do this. So you need me more than I need you, basically. And getting to that compromise where it's like, okay, we can be on board and get to a point where, I mean, we obviously know what happens with Saul, like,
Yeah.
and with his relationship with the rebellion.
Mm-hmm. This really makes me want to rewatch those episodes of Rebels where Mon Mothma and Saw Gerrera were in it.
Yeah, absolutely, it does.
Yeah,
that's a good call.
But they may kind of cross over a little bit with Andor season 2 with those. Like, we may see the live action version of her going over and quitting the Senate and going over to the rebellion.
Maybe,
which would be interesting because that scene involved the crew of the Ghost. So you had young Ezra, fucking Hera, and I think Zeb were all in there when Mon Mothma made the transmission that said, "Fuck the Empire, I'm out."
Yeah, but does the timing work out right? Because she was. I'm trying to work that out in my head, like the timeline.
Yeah.
So she's still in the Senate, Andor season 1.
Yes.
But she's still working it.
Yeah.
Andor season 2, I would argue she's still in the Senate.
For a majority of it, I think, because allegedly the way that they're doing it is, you know how they're releasing it in 3-episode bunches?
Mm-hmm.
There's supposed to be time gaps in between each of those.
Okay.
Like years or something like that. So they could just go from one where she's not part of the rebellion or where she's still in the Senate doing her senatorial duties to another one to where that's all passed and now she's there on Yavin with the rest of the rebels.
I could see that.
Yeah. So either way, it's going to be interesting to see how they tread that canon line,
Yeah. But I think they'll do it. Like, I'm not nervous about it like I would be with like how they're doing with Ahsoka and all that.
Yeah.
Because we know what the end state's going to be. We know that they're walking like straight onto the set of basically Rogue One.
Yeah.
By the end of this. And I get excited every time I read something that says that, like, the director or whoever the writers or whoever is like, this is not meant for you to be happy. Like,
yeah.
it's not meant for you. This is dramatic.
Yeah.
And you were just going to. You're not going to feel good at the end of this.
Mm-hmm.
And strangely, that's so appropriate.
Yeah.
And what this book does well is tease up what, for whatever's going to happen in the next 2 books. Unfortunately, I doubt 2 books are going to come out in the next.
Well, so the next one's supposed to come out February of 26. So we got a while.
Yeah. So
So Andor will be over by the time the next 2 books come out. And then I guess this way they can even better intertwine them with the canon and not have to worry about fucking anything up.
That's true.
At that point.
I mean, there's books books probably written now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a matter of publishing. Writing a book's such a pain.
I've never tried. So
I'm not good at it. I keep trying and stopping and then trying and stopping and trying and stopping. It's fucking hard.
I believe it.
I think writing nonfiction would be easier.
Yeah. Probably. You would think.
Maybe.
Real quick before we close this up. So something that I've been thinking about this whole time is what everybody knows and doesn't know about Palpatine. Okay. Because you think about it from the perspective of Mon Mothma, especially, like, she thinks Palpatine's just this evil dictator. She doesn't really have much context in beyond that. She just knows he's like a manipulator and is now turning into a dictator. Doesn't know that he's a Sith. None of the galaxy knows he's a Sith. doesn't know that he was, on the other side, manipulating the Separatists as well as the Republic.
Right.
And I just wonder, like, did the Jedi not have time? Well, the Jedi being Yoda and Obi-Wan, when they were having their meeting with Bail Organa, because he was there in the aftermath of the Purge and everything.
Right.
Did they not think to say, like, hey, by the way, Palpatine, that guy, that's now Emperor, remember those old Sith that were talked about hundreds, thousands of years ago, like the Sith Empire, tyranny over the galaxy and everything? Yeah, he's one of those Sith people, and now he's in charge of the Republic.
Well, I wonder if their thought process was, if we do that, if we try and stir that pot, then they'll actively be hunting for them, like
True.
for every Jedi.
Yeah.
Like, so we have the timeline for the Inquisitors.
Right. Well, it comes not long after this, because they started establishing the Inquisitors not long after Revenge of the Sith, right?
I'm trying to,
because I'm thinking the Vader.
that.
It's the Vader comics is where they were introduced, and I feel like it was that first series that took place like right after Revenge of the Sith, where Vader fucking force pushes Palpatine when he realizes Padme's dead, and Palpatine shocks the shit out of him.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, you want to get uppity?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I'm going to leave you for dead on this planet. Figure out your life.
Yeah.
And put your shit back together with these random droid parts. So they were hunting the Jedi to make sure they were eliminated. So by doing an overt act like that is only going to feed that flame.
Yeah.
So it probably wasn't worth it to try this like grassroots effort to be like, this little tiny voice in the corner going, Palpatine did this. It's for the same reason even Bail Organa was like, he was protesting, but he knew that if he didn't have his seat in the Senate to fight the power in a way that he was still able to be there.
Yeah.
Because they made compromises in their stances in order to maintain their positions.
Right.
It was a very politician thing that you see both out of Mon Mothma and out of Bail Organa.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, we don't want to lose our position and our ability to be able to influence. So we're going to shift towards other policy.
Yeah. And yeah, what I was kind of like going to was basically how Palpatine's such an important figure in all of this, but we don't see him. We don't see him in this book. We don't see him in Andor.
Right.
We didn't see him in Rogue One. We saw Vader, but Palpatine's just this massive figurehead, and there's like everything revolves around his fucking plan. And he doesn't have to be in the book or in the show. It's interesting that they do it that way, and I'm fine with it.
Well, it's part of the story, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just the fact that he's not in the story makes it part of the story.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, everything that's happening right now is because of him, and he doesn't make an appearance,
right?
So we can write a 20-hour long book about everything that Palpatine started, and not actually have Palpatine walk in the door.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting too because he's not in episode 4 at all. He's mentioned, but he's not in it. Whereas if you like watched the saga, like episode 1 to 9 at this point, you'd have like all this stuff with Palpatine, boom, not there for a second. And then Palpatine. It's just interesting that they're able to take him out of the story, even though he's such a big part of it. And, he's still got that presence there, even though you don't see him.
Right. It's the Empire stands on its own at that point.
Yeah. And it just shows how deep, the tyranny and the corruption and all of that goes. It goes down to every last, member of the Empire.
So one of my final thoughts for this particular story,
Mm-hmm.
since we're going to have almost a year before we get the next book,
Yeah, maybe Chemish will figure out if he's a boy or a girl by then.
I'm leaning towards girl.
Yeah.
I think what we got from shit, you made me lose my train of thought.
Sorry.
Fuck.
So you're talking about the next book. We don't get it until February of next year. So we've got a while.
We do have a while. The big takeaway for this was, fuck, dude. What was your big takeaway? Maybe it'll unlock something for mine.
Yeah, for me overall, it was just a great view of the Empire's first, months from the perspective of the people who were involved in it, from the perspective of Mon Mothma and Bail and Saw. And you just kind of see how it's very quickly becoming that empire that we knew at the very beginning of the trilogy, because again, just a few weeks ago, we were the Republic, the Galactic Republic. And now all of a sudden we're the fucking Empire. And there's so much shit that's got to change behind the scenes. And oh my God, they got to rewrite all the AFIs.
Right.
Oh God, there's so much that's got to be done.
Yeah.
But no, it just shows how that quickly started to go from the Republic that just turned itself into the Empire by name to like the fucking, the Empire that we grow to know and fear in later on in the timeline.
I remembered the governors. So the introduction of the governors into this, and that like kind of the soft intro to the governors being super obnoxious in this dinner party.
Yeah. Oh, that Southern guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because they've been introduced, and we know in episode 4, in A New Hope, sirens.
That's the train station.
That is? No, that's not. That's the fire department alarm.
Okay.
Anyway, fuck again. Train thought. Oh my God, so many distractions. I didn't take my meds today.
Oh fuck, I forgot to take mine this morning. Shit.
All right. Buck up, double up to buck up. I don't know. No. So Tarkin, when he says that the governors are going to take over,
they have direct control of their territories.
Right. So when he says the Senate will no longer be an issue because it's dissolved.
Yeah.
Right. Basically, you can picture Palpatine just shutting the lights off of that fucking big rotunda with all the fucking floaty things.
Yeah, we got Doge rolling in, and they're gonna reduce the size of the government, starting with the Senate.
Right. And yeah, all these little powered fucking, e-bikes that are in here are getting shut off.
Yeah.
So, but even in this just one book, with the introduction of the governors and how the senators are already going, like the power struggle already is starting.
Mm-hmm.
And they're supposed to, be working together, and it's supposed to be regional and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the people are already gravitating towards the governors because that's where they see the power is.
Yeah.
The power isn't with the Senate anymore. It's with the governors, because the governors are connected directly to the emperor.
Mm-hmm.
So it touches it a little bit in the book. What I've really enjoyed is this is a book about the politics of the Republic and the Empire without making me feel like I'm reading a political science fucking textbook.
Right. It's not like the opening scroll of episode 1. It's talking about trade routes and taxes.
Yeah. And there's not a lot of action in this. I mean, there is some, but there's not so much action that that's not what this book is. This book is telling us, it's giving us the kind of the play-by-play of, this is how these characters became what it was, the rebellion.
Yeah.
And I said, I thought they did a really good job of it.
Yeah.
What they're going to do in the next 2 books, who knows? I mean, talking 3 years worth of books. God,
Yeah.
that's annoying.
And it's going to be interesting to see how it ties in with Andor, and if they give us any callbacks at all to this novel in season 2. Like, is Mon Mothma going to be at a dinner party and she's got to be like, hold on, and she's got to like feed her electric stomach.
Right. I was like, oh shit, a battery died. Hang on,
Yeah.
I gotta replace that. Like the fucking.
I just thought something. Somebody goes into the ladies' room and she's got the drain tube going into the toilet. Shitter's full.
Merry Christmas. You checked our shitters, honey?
Oh God, that's good. But yeah, I think this is a great. I think they tried to refer to it as a political thriller. I think it was good.
Yeah, I think so. I think it did that.
Yeah, I would have liked maybe a little more mystery, a little more intrigue. Especially from the people that are supposed to be spying on the senators. But there's more room for that.
I think that was deliberate also, because I think it showed that they were in their infancy. These
yes,
like the ISB, they're just getting their foot in the door, like this McCarthyism, like setting up their communists. Like we're watching everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Any member of the fucking Politburo is going to have somebody watching them all the time.
Yeah,
and they're just getting into this habit pattern, because they didn't have that before. There's thousands of senators, and so they need the manpower to fucking do that. So they need to shut down this part of the government to bring up this part of the government.
Sounds so familiar. Yeah, and there's a ton of threads between what's going on in here and current politics. Like there's so many different references and callbacks that you'd have to read the book to get them all.
And it's not because it was written at the same time as what's happened in the past 3-4 months. It's this book it probably took a year to write.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's like you said, politics is cyclical.
Yeah.
And seems like we see the same shit all the time.
Yep. Same shit, different year.
Mm-hmm.
Different genre, different galaxy, whatever.
So that should have been the title of this book. Reign of the Empire. Same shit, different year.
Same shit, different galaxy.
All right. Well, I guess that's pretty much it. And if anybody didn't catch it, I enjoyed the book. I'd give it about an 8 out of 10, and I would recommend it to fellow Star Wars fans.
Yeah, I'd give it a solid 8.
Yeah,
for sure. I'm looking forward to the next one.
All right.
I have the reads from last week that I can read this week.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to do that. Do you know what's really funny? Is that I kept looking down. I have all these methods to look at what time it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep looking at the time that's on my laptop.
Right.
My laptop screen froze at 18:29.
Oh, so you still think it's 18:29?
Right. I'm looking at the chat. The chat never fucking changed. And it's like, oh, it's 6:30. I'm like, I feel like we've talked longer than that. Like, I can't believe it's only 6:30.
Right.
And then I looked up there and I'm like, oh, okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
So I apologize for not keeping up with the chat because my chat froze on the screen. I need to bring my laptop cooler back.
Oh, yeah.
I should have rebooted before we got started. I used this a bunch today. Anyway, we're going to talk about ATSW family happenings, though.
Okay, let's do it.
And on Wednesday, I'm going to assume that ATSW Escape Pod will be freeballing. I know they were in the chat, so. And they gave Kelly a penis.
Oh, wait, what?
I don't know. It said penis Kelly. That's what it said.
Okay. When you said they gave Kelly the penis, I'm like,
well, I mean,
should we be talking about that right now?
I mean, DB does it, right?
Yeah.
DB at least has a couple of times that we can prove.
Yeah, I completely forgot what I was gonna say.
Anyway,
so why don't you continue?
Let's just assume that ATSW Escape Pod will be freeballing, and then we'll be discussing the latest in sports, video games, movie time.
Oh,
and the hot sheets.
I remember what it was going to be. The Corona box.
Oh yeah.
So I just threw that out. If you all remember, way back in episode 100, Brady and I think Don too were down on Coronas like it was nothing. That case of Corona that they bought.
No, it was all Brady with the Coronas.
Okay, that he bought. It was still in the studio for the longest time, and then it ended up in the garage because I put a lot of like podcast stuff in there and moved it out to the garage. And with my spring cleaning and everything, I came across it, put the stuff that was in it in a different storage container, and I finally broke down and recycled the Corona box from episode 100, which was 5 years ago.
And that makes so much more sense because when you posted that in the Facebook chat,
Yeah.
I was like, I don't remember seeing it in the studio.
Yeah, it was in the studio for years.
For
like
years,
a year. Yeah. But then, I moved it into the garage because it still had stuff in it
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
anyway, go ahead.
You can join. You, Don. Oh, no. You?
Me?
You.
Okay.
Join Don Della Snooch, Brady Big Lovin', and Dragon Buddy in the live chat, 1905, 705 Eastern, daylight time, Onion, the YouTube.
Onion,
the YouTube. Thursday, Alan and DB. Last Thursday, Alan and DB wrapped up Marching with Cage Month with the 2023 horror comedy Renfield starring, you guessed it, Nicolas Cage. So go back and watch that, but you have to watch the movie on Peacock and then the review at Grave Reviews on YouTube that went live at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight back in the day, but you can still watch it on the YouTube Grave Reviews. Go and you will do it.
Do it.
Orange and Fett Show. I'm sure they released something else besides. This is episode 138, Rocky
4,000.
Rocky 5,000. So I'm sure that they've released something newer. Catch them on Spotify and Apple. Orange and Fett Show. Do it. Support the official Sidebar band Till the End, who we had here last week and debuted a fucking insanely good music video.
Hopefully, Swede didn't get in trouble for that.
Not our fault. We didn't twist his arm to fucking do it.
All right, fair enough.
That's what I'm going with. Well, where was I? Oh, support the official Sidebar Cantina band Till the End that I just made up. Go to tilltheendofficial.bio.link and buy their shit.
Yeah.
Because as Nick told us, how does a band make money these days? Merch. Buy their shit because you listen to them on Spotify, watch their videos on YouTube, support all that shit. But the money is in the merch. So, till the end official.bio.link and buy their shit. And you'll do it.
Yeah.
No news for used and abused and layman's terms. So, you can find us at bio.link/sidebarcantina, where you find links to Patreon, YouTube, our audio podcast on Apple, Audible, and Spotify, and all our social media platforms, including X, which... Did you see that Chuckle Nuts fucking sold X to some AI platform that I think he also owns?
I feel like I saw something about that on my news feed, but I breezed over it quickly.
Yeah. Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, TikTok, and Discord. Once you get to the bio link, simply click the symbols under our pick to go to your platform of choice. You can also find our past Spotify mixtape playlists.
Mars Attacks!
Gag!
That's what Bronco Fett just said that in the chat. Mars Attacks!
Is that what they're doing?
I don't know. Not sure where that came from or what the context is.
Also in our bio link is our T Public merch shop. Choose from some designs on everything in t-shirts and hoodies to tote bags, phone cases, exclusive stickers and pins, wallet magnets, notebooks, laptop cases, pillows! pillows. Just about anything you can imagine. Nothing says loving like a naked Jason chick on a pillow. Go to bio.link /thesidebarcantina and click merch. Reviews?
No new reviews, of course.
No reviews.
Nobody loves us.
I have thoughts about why this is, but I'm going to withhold them.
Okay.
Please write us a 5-star review on Apple or Audible. Don't have an Apple or Audible account or Facebook page or review feature 2. Just screenshot your review before you hit done and DM us a pic on Instagram or Twitter with your name and address, so Luna Girl can send you a super cool ATSW family swag pack. This is your chance to tell us your thoughts on the show. Jason or Jennifer Lopez or Hank or Edith or Mama or John Tom Boker or somebody fun will read your review word for word on our next episode. Let us know who you want to read it. Finally, if you catch us on Spotify, help us out and click those stars. If you're listening to us on audio, please consider joining us in the live chat on Mondays. The chat is most definitely where it's at.
Yeah.
If you are new to the Sidebar, please subscribe, ding that bell, select all to receive notifications when we go live. Remember to smash that like button. It really helps us out. And, of course, thank you to our Patreon supporters. You are the reason why we do this. And that is that.
All right. So we were talking a little bit about our next episodes coming up. And my proposal is next week we do our Revenge of the Sith 20th anniversary look back.
Yes.
Because it's coming up, but it's also coming up at a time when we're going to be ass deep in Andor.
Right.
So
yeah,
My penis is so smooth.
we're still going to see it in theaters whenever tickets go on sale.
right. Which I can't believe it hasn't gone on sale yet.
Yeah, rumor I saw was second week of April is when they're going to go on sale because it's the last week of April is when it comes out.
It's criminy.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye out for that. But I figure we talk about Revenge of the Sith next week, staying in the same time frame. We do the Lords of the Sith novel in 2 weeks, which again, I know you've already read. I know most people out there have already read. I have not, and we've never talked about it on the show.
Right.
And that takes place pretty much concurrently with the book that we just read in the timeline. And then in 3 weeks, the day before Andor starts, we have an episode of the pod where I figure we could do our Andor season 1 recap.
Yep. Yes. I like everything about that plan.
All right. So that's going to be the plan for episodes this week. So next week, we're going to be talking about Revenge of the Sith 20th anniversary.
Fucking insane.
Yeah. Very insane.
Be prepared to listen to Dave gush about John Williams and the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Because it's deserving.
Indeed it is.
Yeah.
All right, but that's pretty much it. Thank you for everybody for sticking with us on the YouTube. Thank you to all of our audio listeners. We never forget about you guys.
Right.
And
I will be posting the episode immediately following the broadcast.
yeah. And go read Reign of the Empire, The Mask of Fear.
Yes. And you will do it.
And until next time, Dave and everybody else, may the force be with you.
May the force be with you.
It doesn't quite have the same cling as 2 beer mugs, but what are you going to do?
It's fair.
Yep.
Okay, now what do I click?
All right, guys, I got to turn off the stream. But thank you for sticking around. We love you all. See you next week.
Bye.